this show was never going to be dedicated exclusively to Tate, but we're going to talk about it because it's big news. I mean, it's madness of news. People make the accusation of covering a story for, what do they call it? Click farming? I don't. There's an expression, like jumping on something that's big in the news. Well, there's two things, by the way. The reality is nobody wants to watch something that they're not interested in. The other reality is big news is big news. Like you can't ignore the big news. You can't ignore the Andrew Tate getting arrested in Romania, hauled off, the Romanian police posting apparent video of the raid, but there are questions about it. But Tate getting arrested a day after picking a social media fight with Greta Thunberg. And apparently, I don't believe it, by the way. I don't believe that the pizza box was the giveaway that ratted out his location. I mean, when you're housing 20 cars, as is Tate, when you live in a mansion that might be registered as a firing range, we're going to get there in a second. I think the Romanian police know where you live, and they don't need to rely on some pizza box to identify where you are and then geolocate you. They knew where he was. I don't think he was hiding it. Everybody knows it. Romanian authorities know where Tate's mansion is in Romania. Okay. Catch my breath here. Swallow, breathe. And let's get into this. So I'll preface this by saying one thing. I have nothing for Andrew Tate, and this is not a defense of Andrew Tate. There's no but to that. I have taken issue with some of the things Andrew Tate has said. Recall, however, the issue about Andrew Tate at the time, and this is how collective memory is going to be modified, altered, and skewed by the present. Watch the media try to demonize anybody who defended Tate's deplatforming before he was arrested on trafficking charges. Watch the media, watch the disingenuous liars out there spin it to demonize anybody who defended Andrew Tate on the basis of free speech back when he was deplatformed for speech. They're going to warp that into a defense of Andrew Tate trafficking. And anybody who said this is not how you treat people are going to say, oh, those guys defended Tate when he was being deplatformed for trafficking. Andrew Tate was never deplatformed for accusations, charges of trafficking. And even if the charges had existed when he was deplatformed, there still will be the argument that deplatforming someone for pending criminal accusations is also mildly unfair, mildly violative of the presumption of innocence, and also abusive. Are we going to deplatform everybody who is in fact a convicted criminal? Is that the world we're going to get into? From the people who want convicted felons to still be allowed to vote, and rightly so, by the way, those same people are going to say, well, we should now deplatform people from social media platforms based on crimes that they are accused of and or convicted of off platform. So that is what you call mutually incompatible philosophies. Convicted felons should be allowed to vote, but they shouldn't be allowed to speak on social media platforms if we don't like those convicted felons, accused criminals, or general people of wrong speak. But just do recall, back in the day, Tate was not deplatformed for alleged criminal acts. He was not deplatformed for participation in trafficking. And even then, I would still say I don't think deplatforming people for alleged crimes or convictions is proper, any more than stripping them of their victories in the octagon or behind the, what's it called in boxing? The ropes. Stripping them of their victories for out arena convictions, I don't think is a proper either. But he was deplatformed for stupid things that he said, which I happen to think, taken out of context or not, are stupid things. Stupid things that I would not defend. There are people who will defend his toxic masculinity and some of his takes on feminism and women and stuff. I won't defend them. I'll just say that they are not, it does not qualify as speech that should justify social media banning and unpersoning. That was the issue back in the day. Recall that Ethan Klein alleged that Tate was a trafficker. Let me pull this one up. This is funny. I mean, it's funny only because now Ethan Klein is going to do the victory lap because now at least there's an accusation of it. Where? Look for Ethan. Oh, yeah. Oh, that guy. Okay, we got the pants. I think 21 hours ago. No, it was definitely earlier than that. I don't want to make any mistakes as to quoting people. God, Twitter is fun. Where is Ethan Klein's tweet? Here we go. Here we go. So Ethan Klein, back in the day, you will all remember, accused. He called Tate a sex trafficker, a human trafficker. I forget which. And he got a lawyer's letter from Tate's attorneys. Ethan Klein and blank. Request to cease and desist all defamation, slander, and or libel of character and reputation. Notice of deliberate misuse. Dear respondents, if you are represented by legal counsel, what is this? I don't know. That's not the letter, but here. That's why I call him Andrew the human trafficker. He sent me a cease and desist letter threatening to sue me for defamation for saying he's a human trafficker. What else am I supposed to call someone that buys and sells human beings against their will? Andrew Tate, the human trafficker. Well, here's the problem. I mean, now Ethan Klein will certainly have a more robust defense from accusations of defamation now that Andrew Tate has been arrested by a human trafficking team of investigators in Romania. But when Ethan Klein made those statements in the past, although there was some investigation that was undergoing, no charges, no arrest, no nothing. So calling someone a convicted criminal before they're convicted is defamatory. Saying that I had called them a convicted criminal before they were convicted, but now they're convicted, so therefore it's exculpatory of the defamation at the time, not exactly how it works. What it might lead some people to think is, how did Ethan Klein know what was going on back in the day? You know, it could be like one of those Harvey Weinstein best kept secret things where everybody knows and whatever. Or it could be Ethan Klein just saying anybody engaged in OnlyFans business, which is not morally speaking for everybody and which some people might have a fundamental moral issue with. Because it sounds like modern digital prostitution. Some people say prostitution is fine to the extent it's consenting adults who want to be prostitutes. It's the oldest profession tied with lawyers. But then, nonetheless, you know, consenting adults going into porn does not mean that there are not systemic problems of exploitation and extreme nastiness in the porn industry. Whether or not you think adults should have the right to do that, there are problems. OnlyFans really now seems like digital prostitution of the modern age. Where was I going with all of that? Oh, yeah. So if Ethan Klein has a fundamental problem with OnlyFans and says anybody who's involved in it is a human trafficker, well, you might run into defamation claims because thus far, OnlyFans as a business is not human trafficking. Calling people pimps and criminals for doing something that is legal could get you in trouble. But either way, I'm just reading some of the chat here. He runs a webcam business. Well, this is why we're going to get into the story and the disinformation, the misinformation. And it's interesting. Okay, now, so everybody knows by this point in time, Tate and his brother Tristan have been arrested in Romania because for whatever the reason, they have decided to live in Romania by a human trafficking division, apparently. Now, I want to pull up, let me see here. Okay, so I got this one already. Ugh, not now. That's why I call him the human trafficker. Okay, good for you, Ethan. You're temporarily vindicated, if only based on accusations. But I will still say you're incriminated in that you have still entirely bypassed the innocent until proven guilty stage of the judicial process. Let me see what this one was here. Okay, let's first things first, people. Don't get duped by fake news or people's good faith mistakes. I don't know who Mark Wick's SCD is, and I'm not trying to put him on blast for fake news and whatever. There are people saying Tate has been released. Look, here's an interview with Tucker Carlson.
So news accounts in the United States say that the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest, Romania, was tipped off to your misdeeds and alerted the local authorities you might be committing human trafficking. Given that this is the same charge they leveled against Julian Assange or a species of it, skeptical, but I want to know the details. Were you arrested for human trafficking? What happened?
Yeah, I was not arrested. So what happened is I suffered from a case of swatting. It's very popular with people who are large on the internet. Many large YouTubers have been swatted.
I don't understand. I mean, I know that he's British-born, American-born, British race. I don't understand the pronunciation, although I do respect anybody adding an H into any word that does not have an H. A la Whitmer. I'm joking, by the way, but swatted. I don't understand the pronunciation, but who am I to complain about the pronunciation of other men and women across this world? Okay, sorry.
It's where you call the police and you say somebody has a gun or there's a hostage situation and the SWAT team arrives. Somebody made a phone call to the American embassy saying that I was holding women at my house. The police arrived. And let me state this now. I state this openly to the world. I have absolute respect for the police. I would hate to live in a country where if you call the police saying women are being held against their will, that the police don't respond. That would be terrible. Of course they should come and look. Absolutely.
I love Tucker Carlson's concerned face. All right. Cut out. We got to see Tucker Carlson intently focused on what his guest is saying. And I do like Tucker Carlson, by the way. That's just a joke.
Turned up. They investigated. They realized that nobody was in the house against their will. There was no crime committed. They said, okay, you're not a suspect, but you are a witness to this, along with me, my brother, the housekeeper, the gardener. Everybody who was in the premises at the time was labeled a witness. We had to go to the police station for 45 minutes for pieces of paper. We filled them in and we were let go. I was swatted. Nobody was hurt. There's no human trafficking.
Okay, now the only problem with that video is it's from August 2020. So nothing to do with yesterday's arrest or swatting. It was not swatting. As far as I know, and I'll defer to the chat's aggregate knowledge, it was not swatting yesterday. And I'm going to play the video of that arrest, or at least the montage that has been provided by the authorities. Gotta love it. You gotta love it. Nancy Pelosi's husband, with all of the surveillance that they either had or did not have, the body cam footage that the police have there, we don't get to see that. No footage for you. Andrew Tate gets arrested, and they've packaged the arrest already. And again, people, this is not, I'm not supporting any conspiracy theory that this is a setup. I'll entertain the evidence that people have to submit, but this is not a thesis in support of setup, whatever. This is just an illustration of how broken the prosecutorial, the police system is throughout the world. You can be a political ally, and they will do everything they can to withhold release of potentially unfavorable video. Be a political enemy, guilty or innocent as you may be, they'll find a way not just to leak it, to package it for release. And it's interesting. Let's get the video of the arrest itself. That's not it. That's not it. More footage. Here we go. I think this is it. Okay, here we go. This is footage. This is from Visegrad 24. 24, 2 Sekunden 4, whatever. Aggregate and curating news, politics, current affairs, history, and culture from Central and Eastern Europe. Croatian flag. That looks like the Italian flag, but I didn't think that they were. And I'm going to embarrass myself on the other two. Okay. In fact, I might have already embarrassed myself whatsoever. Don't ask me about flags, geography, or mathematics. Footage. We're going to play it. Notice the editing. Apparently, notice that Tate and his brother seemingly are not wearing the same clothes in this. I have to watch it again, having read the thorough, detailed analysis breakdown on the interwebs. Let's just see. This is from Polizia Romana. I think that means Romanian police. I'm just going to go out on I'm going to go out on a limb and take a guess. Where's the audio? Do we have audio? Is there audio here? Maybe there's not audio. Whatever. I thought I remember hearing audio. Anyhow, this looks like the raid, disclosing where the residence is. I'm sure the interwebs now can very easily geolocate Tate's mansion. Okay, you don't exactly want to wake up at any point in your life and see this out your front door, people. Okay. Man, they're really okay, so some audio, not audio for some reason. They're really just showing you all everything going on here, but we're gonna get to two things in particular which are of interest and of interest in knowing. Okay. Clothing, cars, so that long jacket, scarf. Okay, that looks like a gun. I'm no doctor. Oh, I wish the internet would not be so crappy here. I can't. Brass knuckles. I mean, this kind of looks like Donald Trump's FBI flayed out documents. Like, yeah, look, they have a table of guns, which they keep either unloaded with the magazine out. Brass knuckles in a wallet that seems to have some sort of police-like looking emblem on them, but they're just like they're conveniently positioned out so we can see that they're brass knuckles. Probably illegal. Brass knuckles illegal. Swords and an axe. Funny thing is, I have an axe that looks exactly like the one on the bottom right.
The table.
Bullets. Oh, see, now we hear people speaking English. We see bullets strewn out on the table. That looks like. What are they? Are they running laps in his house? This might have been edited together by other people, and then they have the blurred out vehicles. All right. So I don't know who edited this together. In fact, it's probably not, now that I say this out loud, it's got the Polita Romana over it, the whole thing, but I don't know if this was edited by someone else afterwards. That's apparently the video of Andrew Tate's arrest. Let me go to the chat in Rumble just to see. Viva, do I have an email address? Amandine? Not a good one that I can't. How do people reach me? Amandine, $5 Rumble Rant. Amandine 512. Let me screen grab this and see if I can't figure this out afterwards. There was a $15 Rumble Rant which says you may want to buy Rumble stock. They were $10 per share a few weeks ago. Now it's $6. Their 52-week high was $17. Their ticker is RUM. I do not give financial advice. I have not purchased any Rumble stock to maintain even the air of impartiality. I have an exclusive agreement with Rumble, which is public knowledge, and I didn't buy stock at the time. I'm not buying stock right now, even though I think it is personally a company in which I have placed my bet with my being. But I don't own any because I don't want any even perceived conflict of interest in any respect whatsoever. That being said, I did buy Tesla because I have no contract with Tesla, and I will continue to be a proponent of Tesla and support what Elon Musk is doing on Twitter. And I don't want people not knowing that I own stock in Tesla. Now, I bought it yesterday, while I continue to do this, because then they'll accuse me of hiding the fact that I have some very modest financial interest in Tesla while I continue to publicly defend Elon Musk for all he has done and continues to do. And by the way, we just broke 10,000 live viewers right now on Rumble. Boo Yaka Shah, everybody. Kathy Michelle 40, if that's not a one-off joke, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm not even gonna block anybody on Rumble. So that's it. 10,061 people watching live on Rumble right now. Booyah. Okay. Thank you for the Rumble rants. Full disclosure, I now own a modest number of shares in Tesla. And I will continue to defend Elon Musk, what he's doing with Twitter, because I think it's not something that most people would do. And it's something that maybe only one person on Earth, maybe two or three, have the power, the financial liberty to do. People saying Elon Musk is a billionaire white male. He can afford to do what he did. Holy crab apples. Talk about ingratitude, spending $44 billion on a company to then blow his own whistle and risk that very company that he just paid $44 billion to, and not just the financial investment, the ridicule, the public scorn, the hatred, becoming deep state enemy number one. Yeah, he didn't have to do it. And the fact that he did decide to do it is even more telling of the bravery or stupidity that went behind the decision to do it. Okay, sorry. We're back to Tate. So that seems to be footage of Tate's raid and arrest. If anybody in the chat in Rumble has anything interesting to add to that, let me know. What I would like to point out the firearms. So some people were pointing out yesterday. I did a I popped into a Twitter space hosted by Mario Nawal, and Kim.com's in it, and I think they like me and they bring me in so that I can, I can participate in the discussion on things that I think I might have the mildest knowledge on in order to discuss. Some people were saying, okay, well, it's very interesting. Now you got the raid. Now you might have gun charges because in Romania, apparently those types of firearms might be restricted, might be illegal. So there might be, if they don't get them on the human trafficking allegations, charges, whatever, they might be able to get them on gun charges. Aggregate knowledge of the interwebs being what it is, someone said, oh, Viva, he turned his house into a gun range. So, just a question of making sure that you don't even know what you don't know. So someone's going to run out and say, oh, well, now they're going to get him on gun charges, instead of giving the benefit of the doubt of innocence until proven guilty. There's a reason why that presumption exists. And when you bypass it too willy-nilly, and you say, oh, I've seen a gun now, he's guilty, and you don't give the presumption of innocence, what defenses might he have to raise against any potential charges that come of that? I would not have thought of this. I would not have thought about this. I don't know if it's true. What's going on here? Oh, give me a flipping break. I have to log into Twitter to see what response. Okay, hold on. I'm going to have to share this on another screen. There were a number of videos indicating that Tate you can't own certain firearms unless you're registered as a gun range. And so apparently, if you believe him, I'm not sure that I do, apparently he therefore converted his home into a gun range so that he could possess certain firearms that would otherwise be restricted or illegal for regular people. I don't know if this is true, but there's a number of videos saying it.
You're not allowed guns. Well, you are allowed guns in your shooting range. So I get my house registered as a shooting range. You're not allowed guns in Romania, but you are allowed guns in your shooting range. So I get my house as a shooting range. Bro, you told me. You're not allowed guns. There's a shooting range over there. Well, there's a shooting range. I'm a shooting range.
Don't know if it's true, but it's interesting. Also highlighting the fact as to why you must give the benefit of doubt, innocent until proven guilty when it comes to criminal accusations, because you may not know what defenses might actually exist to what you think is a cut and dry slam dunk conviction, guilty man walking. Okay. With that said, Pepe Pan, $2 Rumble Rant says, was that current footage or the footage before Tucker? Kind of like recycled footage during the coup. All the questions, can we trust anything? It's the good question. I mean, you go by the sources that are posting it, and you can't decide it by yourself. You can't verify it by yourself. And so you just have to say, okay, a lot of people are posting this video. One of them purports to be a news outlet. If I get burnt, and that's actually old footage, although I've already admitted for the possibility of it being old footage, then you know who to trust and who not to trust on a going forward basis, or who to approach with a certain degree of skepticism going forward. Which is why I'm always just, hey, I may be wrong, but ... And here's the best we can do at the time. Fog of war is one thing. One thing we know for certain right now, he has not been released from jail. According to someone who purports to be a Romanian lawyer during yesterday's Twitter space with Mario Nawal, Kim.com, and a bunch of others, apparently under Romanian law, they can hold Tate for up to 30 days without bail, and they can renew that. This individual who purported to be a lawyer in Romania was not very inspiring about the system. Said it's a very corrupt system. It could be renewed as often as they want, and pretty much anything can be bought in Romania, which would not surprise me. Okay. Barbisa Arian. I don't know why I pronounce it. Barbisa Arian. No reason other than I love you, friend. Thank you, heart. Thank you for doing what you do. That's a $20 Rumble Rant from Barbisa Arian, who I know by name, avatar. Thank you very much. And then there was one more. Amandine says, thanks, Eva. I'll try sending a PM on your Facebook. No, I don't get my Facebook. I haven't been able to log into my Facebook. Not sure if there's any way to get a direct message to you. Happy New Year. Twitter is probably the best place, or Instagram. I still have access to Instagram. And I'm Viva Frei on Instagram. Okay, So those are the things that we don't know yet. No, he's been arrested. He has not been released. The video of him saying it was swatting, I'm out after 45 minutes, is an old video from Tucker Carlson from August. Okay. The video of the alleged raid, which is circulating, we do not know the provenance, as we say en français. We don't know the provenance. It's highly edited. We don't know what's going on in that video. The guns that you saw on the table, other than looking like the FBI splaying out the documents for their photo that they know goes to social media not to frame Donald Trump, to highlight the evidence of Donald Trump. It looks more like that. Firearms, interesting idea that he might have converted or registered a portion of his house as a firing range. He might have had security guards who were allowed to have firearms. We don't know. We don't even really know that I know of what he has been charged with, but I'm going to pull up an article that someone sent me. It was from the Mirror. Here we go. Because the question is this, what is he being charged with? They're going with human trafficking. A lot of people are thinking it's the OnlyFans business because he's unabashedly and proudly involved with OnlyFans, which it's not something I would ever have anything to do with, but call me old-fashioned and call me a prude. Others are saying that it had to do with his webcam business. And whether or not these charges are several years old, relating to things that might have occurred 3 to 5 or more years ago, and then coming into the presumption of innocence, whether or not prescription, statute of limitations is going to apply to any or all or some of the charges that he may currently soon be facing. This is an article, March 19, 2022, from the Mirror. And again, it's MSM. I'm gonna approach it with the requisite degree of skepticism. It doesn't mean that we're not going to be able to learn anything from it. Exclusive. Brothers make millions using webcam girls to sell sob stories to desperate men. We're going to get into the lover boy, the trafficking element of this, but let's read this. And let me just double check one thing while we're at it. It's funny. In this is not a dry sauna room. I can feel the floor getting cold as I think it gets colder outside. Maybe it's not getting colder. Ugh. All right, here we go. Exclusive. Brothers make millions. We already got that. Callus. Oh, there you go. By the way, Callus, unless that's his real first name, they're Callus Tristan. Oh, maybe is that his name, or is that Callus Tristan and Andrew Tate run a studio where punters hand over thousands, believing they are in a relationship with the girls, and admit it's all a scam, but authorities cannot stop them. There are people hypothesizing that Andrew Tate, in as much as he says too much publicly, that a statement he gave on a podcast, was it something in Fresh? Apparently, Tate made some statements, which we're going to go over in this article, basically admitting they get girls to basically dupe men into giving them money by thinking that they're in a relationship, and it's a scam, and there's nothing authorities can do about it. I heard the audio. I tried to find the audio, but I couldn't find it in time. Two brothers are raking in millions from webcam sites where men hand over a fortune as they fall for models' fake sob stories. Callus Tristan and Andrew Tate. I don't know. What does this callous mean? Is that an adjective to describe them? They admit their business is a total scam, but say authorities cannot stop them. They claim to run a studio where 75 lingerie-clad models take calls from fans paying $4 a minute. Something about this seems like it's going to be very reminiscent or, similar to that Scottish thing where you can buy a 1 by 1 square foot of land in Scotland and think that you get to call yourself Lord or Lady. Do people actually believe it? Is it willful forking over cash just for the momentary pleasure, or do these people actually believe they're involved in whatever? Punters can ask for private shows and pay tips, quote, at their own risk. Tristan says one man handed over his $20,000 inheritance, while others have run up huge debts. And the kickboxing brothers, raised on a council estate, sit back and watch the money roll in. There is also the element in here that, it's not because Tristan or Andrew say something that someone handed over their $20,000 estate. It's not because they say things that they're necessarily true. So there is the aspect of Roger Stone lying about certain connections to Julian Assange that might be at play here. These guys say a lot of things that make them look big, rich, whatever. What they say might not actually be true. So these admissions of criminality might actually just be lies in and of themselves, but who knows? That's why you have a legal process. Moving on. Tristan, 33, and Andrew, 35, own 22 cars, including a Bugatti, a Rolls. Do they own them or do they lease them? And are they owned by a company? Or that? It doesn't matter. I find nothing impressive about that, but Tate took to rubbing it in Greta Van Thunberg's face the other day. By the way, interesting thing about this picture, he's got a nice arm. It's a little more ripped than me, but genital framing, by the way, with his finger. That right there, people. Genital framing. And if you ask the behavior panel, it's a sign of exuding confidence or, depending on your perspective, confidence. They once had a private jet, both opposed gun shows, yada, yada. Okay, where's the quote? The brothers grew up in Luton. Their webcam studio, yeah, okay. After 3 years, they moved to Romania, saying the UK had gone downhill. They have women on a number of seedy sites. Operators take a 40% cut and the rest goes to the studio. The more punters hand over, the more models earn. Some women will claim to have crippling university debt, a family member in need of private health care, or a dream of moving to the UK, sometimes even telling men they want to meet. Okay, so here it is. This is it. Whatever the excuse is, it is a lie, Tristan said. He believes he is beyond the reach of the authorities because of two lines in terms of, he believes he is beyond the reach of the authorities because of two lines in the terms and conditions. He said, quote, one is broadcasting is for entertainment purposes only. That means if the model says she has a sick dog or a sick grandma, it doesn't have to be true. The next is that all cash given to models is a voluntary sign of gratitude for their time broadcasting. Lawyer Paul Hampson, owner of CEL Solicitors in Liverpool, says UK laws haven't kept up with technology, which allows constant communication and instant access online banking. Okay, yeah. Of the terms and conditions, he claims, he said, if they're implying different things and it's beyond the scope of that online contract, that's not okay. A term of contract has to be fair. You can't just have a unilateral term saying there is everything we do is fine. Okay, we know that. Let's see what else is interesting in here. Andrew said one model they took to Bucharest used the name Chloe. Viewers were told she was in London, making her seem more attainable to UK men. Andrew added $4 a minute to keep her company was a good deal. However, she made her real money because men fell in love with her and believed her fake story and tipped thousands to keep her attention and stop other men seeing her. Even when the face of the personality was sleeping, our girls behind the scenes would use Chloe's phone and constantly work on the relationships with her boyfriends. It's a total scam. The model just has their hands on the keyboard that isn't even plugged in. I have real professionals who are fluent in English behind the scenes getting men hooked, finding out their interests, the name of their dog. A guy will come online, they'll say, how's Sparky? It's an operation of professionals who lure these men in. Tristan said 80% of the money earned by British models came from the UK, but if the okay, fine. Men will give what they have. I mean, it goes on. How long does this go on for? A source for action fraud said there were numerous reports of women on these websites making requests for financial assistance. A government spokesman said dishonesty, making false representations for financial gain is against the Fraud Act 2006, yada, yada, yada. Okay. For those who didn't know what their business model was, I don't know if they're still into that and if they're still doing that. And what the statute of limitations could be on that. For those of you who didn't know, that's the business that Tate was in. Above and beyond whatever silly things he says on social media that you think should get him canceled. Now you know. Digest accordingly. And I can tell you that I heard the audio of one of the interviews. It was at least audio last night during the Twitter space. The quotes are accurate. So they're not making up statements that Andrew Tate did not say. I'm not your buddy guy says scammers should be arrested. All it does is sour actual, genuine charity to help those in need. That's a $2 Rumble rant. I don't think many people are going to disagree with you on that. And, you know, the argument, terms of service, it's in the contract. Everybody, they should know that it's fake and that they're not, you know, it's WWE of love. Fraud vitiates consent in all respects. So even saying they agree to the terms of service, well, if there's fraud, both before, during, and after, and within the terms of service, well, that vitiates consent. for entertainment purposes only, but I was fraudulently induced into this. I mean, okay, that's the business model of the webcams. The issue also becomes things that Tate has in fact said, that he has many girlfriends and that he makes girlfriends and then gets them to work in his business. And, you know, I remember now in retrospect, one of the videos that was going viral on TikTok of Andrew Tate talking about his product. It's his product. Talking about his women making videos and making money off of that. Well, that's his product and he should be making money off of it. It's, there's some laws that you might not actually know even exist that might make what you think is, I just have many girlfriends that I then sell out for sexual services. You might not know that in some countries, in fact, a great many, that's illegal. And it's called pimping. It's called pimping, but under another name. You got to hear this. I did not, they're called lover boy laws. And apparently Romania has, not rubber boy, lover boy laws. Lover boy laws is pimping. It's another word for pimping. It's a man fraudulently inducing, or not a man, it's a person fraudulently inducing another person into an amorous relationship of sorts so they can then sexually exploit them through the vitiated consent in the context of that amorous relationship. Let's see here. Say Von Range, $2 Rumble Rant says, next people will complain that the WHORE doesn't really love you. Ignore the man. You are giving him free publicity. What about free Tate does not need my, first of all, thank you for the Rumble Rant. Tate does not need my publicity. And this is not the publicity that anybody should ever want. We're using this as actually a learning experience. This is a prominent person in the media, in the realm of social media influence. That, and I did not know that there were lover boy statutes in Romania. I'm going to pull up one example. It is not Romanian lover boy statutes. It's the Netherlands, but it's just very interesting to read. Let me see. Where were my lover boys? This is I mean, these are real laws that you might not. Oh, when Tate gets out on social media and says, yeah, I have 6 girlfriends that I've gotten into relationships and I've gotten them to work for me so that we can now make money. Well, dude, you might be publicly admitting to a crime depending on the jurisdiction in which this relationship has led to a business venture through the exploitation of the people you now have claimed you've gotten into amorous relationships. So this is from Government of the Netherlands. I could really go for another cup of coffee now. Lover boys. Who's seen the movie True Romance? When Gary Oldman has Christian Slater, and he's like, I'm keep lover boy he entertained. Lover boys, or Romeo pimps, are human traffickers who usually operate by trying to make young girls or boys fall in love with them. Sometimes they manipulate young people in other ways. Once they have victims under their influence, they exploit them, for instance, in the sex industry. I'm going to see if I can find Tate's comment, because, dude, I mean, once you realize that this is actually criminal and that this is how it is defined as criminal, this is in the Netherlands, but I think with the Romanian statute is similar, if not identical. My goodness, well, you go back and listen to people's public statements and they sound incriminating. Traditionally, a lover boy seduces young, vulnerable girls and boys over a lengthy period of time in order to exploit them sexually later on. The practice is being used less and less. Nowadays, lover boys resort more quickly and frequently to threatening their victims using blackmail and violence. The internet and social media are playing an increasing role in this phenomenon. For instance, social media provide lover boys with much greater scope for established contact with victims and gathering information about vulnerable boys and girls. This makes it easier for them to force the young victims into the sex industry. Okay, let me see if I can find this here. Andrew Tate, girlfriend's business. Let me see if I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this. Oh, you know what? This might have been the exact one I was looking for. How long is this? 9 minutes? I want to get a shorter clip. It was with this guy who was sitting down. Let me see if we'll do
Another
this.
thing I learned from doing this business, I learned something about women, is that they are intrinsically, I don't want to use the word lazy, but I will. They have no interest in world conquest. They want to be comfortable. If you show a woman how to make $1,000 an hour, she'll think, I can work 2 hours a week. If you show a man how to make $1,000 an hour, he'll think I can make $18,000 a day. We want to conquer the world. We want all of it. We want all of it. I teach these women, and the women kept fucking it up. So I said to them, it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm taking over. So what I did is I unplugged their keyboards and plugged a new one in from me behind the screen. So the chicks would sit there and hit a keyboard that wasn't plugged in. And me and my brother, and eventually some staff I trained, would do all the talking. The girls were just famoosers, just laughing and doing this, their titties out. And they were talking to fucking ice cold hustlers. We were taking their money, all of it. If they come and say, well, what kind of, all of it. We were fucking milking them dry. Women haven't got a clue how to.
Okay, I think that's enough. I'm going to give everybody the link for that. I'm going to go watch that later. I don't want to watch a full 9 minutes of that. So in some of the statements, Andrew Tate was talking about having multiple girlfriends that he would make girlfriends with. They would all be his girls, and then he would get them into the business. Well, we'll see what the charges are. But that seems to be what the state of the situation is right now. And that's the news. I mean, I don't think we need to do any more on that. Let me go to my window in the back and see if I got to all of the points that I wanted to get to. What is known, what is not known. Don't fall for certain things. Double check everything before you publish. And I think we got to everything that I had in the backdrop. Do I hear someone opening the door behind me? I'm live. Well, let me go put up my no, I'm just going to go block the camera. That's the latest with Andrew Tate. And I think I don't have anything more there. Now, let me bring up a few more things before we end. So let me go to the chat actually first in Rumble and see what's going on. Money is so good. Okay, I don't know what's going on in that chat there. Some supporters of Tate, some haters of Tate. Bullrock says, at least there's a few glimmers of intelligence in the Rumble chat here. And I want that link. Well, here's the link, people. Go check out that interview in the chat. Oh, Tajur says Mario Nafal. Is it? I think it's Mario Nawal. Hold on one second. Let me get it. Not make a mistake on his name here. Give me 2 seconds. Oh, it's Mario Nafal. You're right. Okay, Nawfal. Mario Nafal says there was news. Oh, I just lost the chat. Court had an issue with their translator, so this may delay the decision by a few hours. Viva Frei. That's from Tajur. All right, I'll do it. I'll post an update a little later on and see what the latest is. I don't think I've missed anything on the Tate situation that's of legal interest, of relevance. It's interesting. I think the moral of the story, people, get married, young but not too young, keep your schmeckles in your pants, and don't get involved in dirty industries because, my goodness, I mean, is there a way to run an OnlyFans industry cleanly, spiritually cleanly, legally cleanly? We were listening on the Twitter space last night, listening to people in the industry talking about running OnlyFans industry. I mean, you may support the freedom of grown adults to engage in prostitution, but to listen to the description of OnlyFans and think that it's anything less than digital prostitution, listening to how that industry operates, it's digital prostitution. Whether or not you think full-grown adults should be able to engage in whatever activities they want, I tend to be more libertarian in that respect as well. But once you know what happens in terms of child exploitation on the interwebs, the blackmail, then you can have a different take on whether or not this is something that is an industry that might need some form of regulation, but who do you trust to do the regulating? Certainly don't trust the government. And then you have people saying, well, Tate didn't need to do any of this. He was rich, wealthy, and yada, yada, yada. He didn't need to exploit. He's being accused of trafficking, sexual exploitation, and rape. I mean, these are some of the accusations. He didn't need to do any of it. He had willing girlfriends. Well, we don't know if the girlfriends that were willing are the ones who are now saying I was actually induced into this relationship, blackmailed into it, whatever. We'll see. Presumption of innocence applies for people you like and people you hate. And so I will continue to operate on that, but that's the latest.